Finally, three new and very importantly inexpensive fuels. Cellulosic ethanol. As we move beyond sugar, which would be very good if we would remove the 51-cent a gallon tax on imported ethanol from Brazil. Ethanol from that source would be considerably cheaper than gasoline in today's environment. Corn-based ethanol from the Midwest has some disadvantages. It does better in terms of global warming emissions and better in terms of net energy than at least one recent report has suggested. We found in the National Energy Policy Commission that Jason Brumet is the executive director of, will speak later today, that one was about 30 to 40% better off with respect to global warming gas emissions, even from ethanol from corn, than from gasoline. And all of the most recent studies, save one by Mr. Pimentel, which I think is badly flawed, suggest that in terms of utilizing non-renewable energy, such as oil or gas or coal, to produce the fuels, to produce corn-based ethanol, one still improves the situation with respect to global warming gas emissions and energy efficiency by a factor of 4 or 5 or 6 by moving toward cellulosic ethanol. So as the genetically modified biocatalysts make it possible to break down the hemicellulose and cellulose and ferment those sugars, one begins to be able to use prairie grass, such as switchgrass, and all sorts of agricultural residues widely available, rice straw probably here in California, to produce ethanol at, we said in the Energy Policy Commission, over the course of the next 20 years, probably something on the order of 60 to 70 cents per gallon. There has been a report that that would take too much land. That I think is not true, and that's not what we found in the Energy Commission. If you take the 30 million acres that are in the Conservation Reserve Program now, the so-called soil bank, plant those, as most of them already are, in prairie grass and switchgrass, mow it a couple of times a year, turn it into ethanol with the genetically modified biocatalysts. One is in a situation such that as we gradually get improvements in mileage up to short of where the Europeans are now, let's say, over the course of the next 20 years, and we increase modestly the yields of switchgrass, which is going to be very easy to do compared with the factors of 6 and 7 increases in yields for things like corn and wheat over the last few years. We would be able, just on the soil bank lands alone, from cellulosic ethanol, to cut our gasoline use in half. We also have, as an incoming and very interesting fuel, going beyond the biodiesel of the sorts that one has now from restaurant grease and soy, moving into areas where one is using wide varieties of waste products, such as the turkey offal that is being used by Conagra and its small partner CWT in Carthage, Missouri today to produce, with no pollution, diesel, renewable diesel from the turkey slaughterhouse. One can use that type of technology, and this has been demonstrated time and again, to produce renewable diesel from chicken litter, from hog manure, from used tires, from a whole range of materials that are waste products, and therefore there ought to be a social value in utilizing them and cleaning up situations rather than having to pay and dig up the earth to produce oil and diesel from something like oil shale with all of its environmental problems. Finally, electricity. Residential electricity in the United States, it's more expensive here in California, but residential electricity in the United States on the average sells for 8.5 cents a kilowatt hour. Overnight off-peak power sells for between 2 and 4 cents a kilowatt hour, again, in the country as a whole. If one has a plug-in hybrid and has, let's say, a 10 kilowatt hour or so battery instead of the 1.5 kilowatt hour battery nickel metal hydride that is in today's Prius, so that one can plug in overnight, use off-peak power, and drive for, say, 30 miles or so as an electric vehicle before the hybrid feature cuts in. One is overnight utilizing, where the rubber meets the road, taking account of the greater efficiency of electric motors. One is utilizing that 2 to 4 cent a kilowatt hour electricity, essentially at the cost of 25 to 50 cents a gallon of gasoline. And for the 8.5 cents a kilowatt hour, the average price at the daytime in the country, that's the equivalent approximately of $1 a gallon gasoline. So if you have two cars and one of them on any given day is not going to go more than 30 miles, you might go months with a plug-in hybrid before you have to visit your gasoline station. So I would suggest that if one looks at what you can do with fuel efficiency changes in the existing infrastructure for vehicles, and what one can do with alternative, inexpensive feedstocks for liquid fuels, with inexpensive electricity, and by the way, with off-peak power, you're not talking about needing any new generating capacity for years. You're talking about tens of millions of plug-in hybrids able to be on the road before you need any new generating capacity. So it is really a canard to say that plug-in hybrids are going to pollute because they draw from the grid. There's nothing new that needs to be added to the grid in order to operate plug-in hybrids. With those types of changes, we think that there are some extraordinary opportunities to build a coalition, a major coalition for change. A coalition between what I call the tree huggers, the do-gooders, the sod busters, and the sheep hawks. Let's get going. Thank you.